The jail, but the other buildings in front, you know where they had them, the Armor cartel.
It's in front light on
In both of the streets.
It's 6 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. If I could get Ann Phillips Jordan to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Whenever you're ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ann Phillips, can you come up and let me give you this? This is one of the city pins. You can wear it. You can take mine too, so you can keep it in there. Thank you for doing that for us. Alderman Harris, would you lead us in an invocation?
Sure. Let's pray, please. Dear Lord, we give you thanks for this time together here tonight. We pray your blessings on each person here. Lord, we ask you to bless our city and those that make this their home. We especially are thankful, Lord, for those who serve to protect us. We pray that you protect them and keep them safe from harm. We ask you, Lord, to forgive us of our sins. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I want to bring to your attention, we have added a couple of things to the agenda. One is to proclaim Arbor Day on December 21st. As part of our Tree City USA, we forgot to proclaim Arbor Day this year. We have to do it in this calendar year, so we're going to proclaim today. And the approval to bid and advertise for the Parks and Rec Department grass maintenance. I was going to move that, or leave it till the next agenda, but the city clerk says we need to get it bid quicker than that. So she and I have a meeting with the Parks Director in the morning to hash out the details, but she felt the need to add it tonight. And the surplus items from the Parks Department were added, and the city attorney and Joe Frank thought we needed to add an executive session for easement issues. So if all of y'all are good with those added items, can I have a motion to approve this amended agenda?
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion passes. Need a motion to approve the docket of claim numbers listed on your agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And that motion passes. Next is to approve the minutes of the regular mayor and board meeting on December 7th.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 7th.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is the consent agenda. Can I have a motion on that?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion passes. Next is the personnel docket.
Motion to approve the personnel docket.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. We do have a couple of notable donations to the city that are on the donations docket. The Spears are here tonight, and they're donating $500 to the Young at Heart program. They do that fairly regularly, and they've been faithful members for a long time and great supporters of that program in the city. And also, there is a donation to the animal shelter from Christy House, who has moved to the city of Hernando within the last year, of $30,000. So I thought I would bring attention to those, and we appreciate those both. And can I have a motion to accept those donations?
Motion to accept.
Second.
So motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And that motion passes. Next is the planning item on number 10. Kendra, would you like to present that?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. This is a request for final plat approval for Nesbitt Industrial Park Subdivision, Phase 11. The application incorrectly lists it as Phase 12. This is a one-lot subdivision totaling 2.74 acres and zoned M1 Light Industrial. It is a vacant lot, and as proposed, it does meet and/or exceed the M1 development requirements. Planning Commission recommended approval of this request with a list of conditions included in the staff report, including revising the title to read Phase 11 rather than Phase 12. And that completes my report.
Any questions on that item? If not, could I have a motion?
Motion to grant final plat approval for Phase 11 of Nesbit Industrial Park Subdivision, 1 lot, 2.74 acres, located on the southern terminus of Nesbit Drive, south of Nesbit Road, west of US Highway 51, and the east of Gwynn Road, in Section 25 Township 2 South, Range 8 West, based upon a finding that the submitted final plat generally conforms to the requirements of the city's code and ordinances, subject to the following conditions: 1, A through F, and 2 through 10.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. We'll move to item 11.
So like this previous item, this is a request that is also a minor subdivision in Nesbit Industrial Park. This is a 3-lot subdivision totaling 2.97 acres. It's also zoned M1. All of the lots are vacant with access off of either Nesbit Drive or Braymont Drive. Planning Commission recommended approval of this request with the list of conditions that are a part of the staff report. That concludes my staff report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions or anyone that wanted to speak to this item? If not, can I have a motion?
Motion to grant final plat approval for Phase 12 of the Nesbit Industrial Park Subdivision, 3 lots, 2.97 acres, located at the southern terminus of Nesbit Drive, south of Nesbit Road, west of US Highway 51, and east of Gwynn Road in Section 25 Township 2 South, Range 8 West, based upon a finding that the submitted final plat generally conforms to the requirements of the city's codes and ordinances, subject to the following conditions: 1, A through F, and 2 through 10.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And that motion passes. Next is item 12.
So the Jerry White subdivision is a request for a 2-lot subdivision at the northeast corner of Mount Pleasant Road and Riley Street. This is a residential area with R12 zoning. Lot 1 at the immediate corner is vacant, and Lot 2 next to that does consist of a single-family home. Both lots exceed the development requirements for R12 zoning, and Planning Commission also recommended approval of this item with the list of conditions listed in the staff report.
Any questions or anyone here to speak for or against this item? If not, can we have a motion from the board?
Got a question?
Yes.
Sidewalk.
That's in our general subdivision requirements, isn't it? But that's a good topic to bring up. Kendra, was that addressed in the Planning Commission meeting?
I believe, let's see, I think it might be listed in the conditions.
Because there's not any sidewalks over there already, at all, because that's an older area.
And the reason Joe was asking is when you approve a sidewalk, the subdivision, or a subdivision, I'm sorry, when you approve a subdivision, the general subdivision requirements require a sidewalk to be built, and Joe would be asking them to do that.
If you look at item 4. Look at item 4.
Blacktop surface and sidewalk.
Yep.
Curb and gutter for all streets.
It's there in item 4.
Yeah.
And that's what was
And
passed by the Planning
sidewalks.
Commission, so it is expected. Any other questions?
The answer is yes.
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 Make a motion to grant final plat approval for Jerry White subdivision, 2 lots, 1.52 acres, located in the northeast corner of Mount Pleasant Road and Riley Street in Section 7, Township 3 South, Range 7 West, based upon the finding that the submitted plat generally conform to the requirements of the city codes and ordinance, subject to the following condition. Condition 1, starting at 1 through 10.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. We will move on to item 13, which is a variance request.
Mr. Thomas Anderson, representing Delta Industries, is appealing the denial of a design review variance that would restrict paving on the site to just the access driveway and the parking area at the front of the property, while the remainder of the site would be crushed concrete. The request also includes not providing parking at the Batch House building, which is to the rear of the lot. This is a 10-acre site, and it's located off of Industrial Drive and zoned M2 heavy industrial. Planning Commission reviewed this request during the November 9th meeting and voted to deny the variance by a vote of 3-2. The findings the commission used to evaluate the variance request, as well as the motion the commission made to deny the variance, are included in the staff report. There are also pictures of the site showing the crushed concrete area, and also included in the staff report is a site plan or a site map, and there's a highlighted portion in yellow that would show the crushed concrete area. And there's also a certificate of development letter that was issued back in November 2020, which states it was issued with the conditions that the site would be paved and also the parking would be striped. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Cobbs? Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this? Yes, please come up.
So, Thomas Anderson, Delta Industries. So, I'll start with the planning review letter in November that she's referencing. So we did receive this letter. Our understanding of that letter was an iteration of what was on the drawings, and we did not take that into consideration for the entire site. And once we were issued a building permit after this, we got a comment that was similar. I've got it here. On January 22nd, we received a comment from the planning department that says, project permit requested in phases, because we were phasing the project. Phase must comply with design review ordinance, parking, landscape, etc. A pretty stock. Our response in March 9th of 2021 clearly states that since the batch office only has 1 or 2 employees, it is intended that they will park next to the batch office on the crushed concrete surfacing. And after we issued these response, we got nothing back from the planning department. So our understanding was that was acceptable. And then we got the comment at the end that that was not, and there was a lot of misunderstandings in the planning department and on our side as well because of changing personnel from Delta's side, changing personnel at the planning department. Our understanding was that the plans approved would be the plans that we built to, and that's what we built to. And then now that we're at the end of the process, we're being asked to pave a significant portion with, you know, our industry. We use concrete trucks, we use front-end loaders, a lot of ag haulers come in. So we would have to do a substantial amount of paving to make it to the design standard where it won't, you know, crumble. We'll have to do it every year. So for us, the site that as it is right now is the most favorable for us, and our understanding was that's what was approved.
Does anybody have any questions?
When did y'all start building out there?
When did we clear the land? When did we? It's been a multi-year process. I've only been with Delta since January. We got I guess the initial planning period started in October of 2020, I believe.
When did y'all pull a permit from the city to start building?
So I will say that we put the plan up without a permit, if that's what you're referencing. So the actual plant was put up without a permit. That was an issue with us and a builder. We hired a local architect firm. We hired local builders, and generally when we do these, you know, the onus is on us, so it's our fault. But generally, we hire locals, so they understand that, and they put a plan up without the permit. That was rectified. We got our building permit in. I can see right here. I've got the paperwork. So we got the building for the batch house, the permit on January 20th of this year.
Overall, what would you say the percentage of the crushed rock would be of the overall what, 10 acres?
So it's about 78% roughly in that neighborhood, if you take the total, because it's the whole back side of the property. Now, the pictures, the crushed rock, the majority of it is actually limestone now. If you see the updated pictures from the packet, where they provided the packet that I sent.
Yeah, we have.
And that's this one that was laying on your desk with some photographs in it.
Understanding that there was an issue with the site and the rain that we've gotten over the last 5 months here in the area, the crushed concrete was not set up to where we wanted it, and we put limestone down to stabilize the site. It's a better product. It's more expensive, but we did go that route, so it does look better, especially when it rains. But
And that's where the majority of the weight of the vehicles are on that.
well, it's actually on the crushed concrete. The topping is a limestone topping. It's not, you know, the crush is still 6 to 8 inches underneath that. The limestone is a limestone topping, so that when we get rain, you don't get pooling, which then can erode and you get ruts and that kind of thing. So the limestone is just a topping. It's not totally aesthetic. I don't want you to take that into it. It does prevent erosion down into the crushed concrete for the first 12 to 18 months until that stuff sets up. But after it's allowed to absorb some water and dry out, it is as hard as concrete or harder sometimes.
Any other questions? Is there anyone? Go ahead, Alderman Miller.
And just for the board information, this is not the first time that we had a variance request versus concrete. If all y'all familiar with the John Deere place located on Common Street, if you go down there, the front part of that is identical to what he requesting on doing tonight, with the rest of it being crushed limestone and things like that. And the reason was because of the heavy equipment down there, agriculture. And then the last one we did would be on 51, north of 269 at the tractor place up there.
Kubota.
Actually, it's the same request. And so if you're talking about aesthetics, those is more highly visible than where this piece of property located at. Because it's at the extreme end of, and I don't know whether in Industrial Drive West or Industrial Drive, but don't put in a GPS, you're going to jail.
The signage has been, the signs.
Well, no, we're talking about the physical address period. That's something that I talked with the mayor about, that we got to rectify.
Yeah, it depends on what GPS you use. I will
right.
tell you that, because we get FedEx delivers right to us and UPS is right next to us.
I understand the request based upon the type of business and the type of equipment that's being used out there. And I don't think it's gonna be aesthetic. I don't think it'll be harmful. So the concrete, and that's the problem that we having up there in up in Nesby there.
It's a truck place up there, what?
Up there where every piece of concrete we don't put in there, them bust up.
Well, this is easier to repair too.
Yeah, so I can understand what the request is, and the other problem is that's something we have to deal with later on about not following regulation. That's something different entirely from the request. But I just want the board to take notice of what that we have approved as a board, and don't be so stingy just say, well, it's in the regulation. Well, that's the purpose of a variance, if they can justify. And I think in this case it's the nature of the business and the type of equipment that's being used out there. That I think is that we should look very favorable upon. That's my opinion.
I'm not certain I can say it better than he did, so.
The location is off to itself, it's in an industrial area. I just hope going forward, we can make sure that we don't have any more permits issued or not issued
Well,
in
so
time.
I can tell you my predecessor in this position, I was actually hired due to failures of this project. So those failures will not be duplicated, and hopefully, well, Who knows, you guys
Like
grow
you
big
said,
enough, maybe we'll
that's on
put
the
another
record,
plant.
right? That's on the record, right?
If we put another one up here, I guarantee you this won't happen again. If we put another one up in Hernando, I guarantee you this will be hashed out before we get that far down the road.
Is there anyone else here that wanted to speak to this topic? Okay. Are there any more questions from the board?
A question about like, it's not really for you, but for like emergency personnel, does the crushed limestone, is that a problem with fire trucks or EMS if that comes up?
Matt, could you speak to that on behalf of the fire
It
department?
would not be a problem. We could be able to get emergency vehicles out there and support the rate of the emergency apparatus.
Okay.
Only problem I have is the batch house, there's no place for someone to park. There's no parking around that batch house.
Any other questions? Is there a motion from
Well,
anyone? Go ahead,
And
Alderman Miller.
this is in line with, I don't want to make it too long, but that might be something we can deal with tonight. In granting this variance, we can put some stipulation there would be no parking back there. Since no parking places are available, so they couldn't just, the two employees, I read in the staff report where the two employees that work back there,
Yeah.
they just have to walk from the front to the back.
I could interject here, I don't want to cut you off, but,
Yeah.
so that response is not correct. So we have a firm policy at Delta to try to separate our personal vehicles from the actual concrete production activities. The batch operator and the front end loader, they park at the front in the designated parking spots, and then they're required to walk back there because we have had issues in the past of vehicles being
Well,
damaged and such.
we can ensure that it don't happen by attaching something to our
And
either approval or denial. We can make sure that that don't happen.
yes, and we are comfortable with that and
You know what I'm
adhering to
saying?
that. for person-
And according with our, fire marshal saying.
Any other comments or questions? If not, is there a motion?
I make a motion to make sure I get it right now.
It's on page 6,
Yeah,
number 2.
I make a motion to overturn the planning commission denial and grant the variance as printed, and also add to the condition that no parking will be allowed around, what do you call it, the
Batch house.
batch house.
Batch house.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kendra, would you like to give us item 14?
Yes. Okay, so this item, staff requests the board's consideration and approval and adoption of the proposed flood damage prevention ordinance following a visit from the Mississippi Emergency Management personnel back in April 2021. The city was notified that our ordinance needed to be updated and adopted by the board. And so adopting this ordinance will also allow us to continue to be in good standing and maintain our eligibility with the flood damage prevention, the National Flood Insurance Program, which makes it possible for residents to obtain flood insurance within the city of Hernando. And the updates that are part of the staff report, those are the updates that would be needed from the state. And they are shown in red within the ordinance. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
This is one of those things that kind of fell through the cracks when we were understaffed, and Kendra's trying to clean it up and make sure MEMA's happy with us. We have a few, probably 10 or less people who are on the flood insurance program in the city limits of Hernando, but this allows them to obtain flood insurance, and our rating allows them a little bit lower rate on that as well. So it's important to those people for certain. So we just need a motion to adopt it.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to adopt the updated flood damage prevention ordinance for the city of Hernando.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 15, as I said earlier, we have to proclaim an Arbor Day in Hernando to be a Tree City USA, and we have neglected to do that. We'll stay on top of it and do it on the proper day next year, but for now, we need to proclaim Arbor Day as December 21st today.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next, as y'all know, when we did the budgeting process, we, instead of hiring additional personnel, we budgeted for the city to sub out the grass mowing. This amount will be more than $50,000, so we need to bid it out. Pam and Jared and I have a meeting tomorrow to come up with the fine tuning of that, what that bid's gonna look like, the bid application. But we need y'all to approve us to bid it out, and then we'll get it out to every one of you, so we can, the more people we spread it to, the more bids we'll get and the better product and price we'll get.
It's just gonna require a reverse auction at the end of the year.
Pam?
No, it's going to be an RFP opening bid. It'll still have to be advertised, et cetera.
It's grass maintenance, so it's not just cutting, is it
It's-
fertilizing and the whole 9 yards?
I
or what
think
do we?
this was not fertilizing,
Okay.
This was just cutting that we had agreed
cutting and
upon.
edging and,
Yeah.
And we had budgeted 125,000.
I think 115.
115.
Yeah. Hopefully, they're gonna come in way less than that.
Well,
That's the goal.
And then, like I said, once we issue it anyway, if we want to go back and amend the contract, we can always do that.
Certainly.
Like, you know, once it's awarded, we can always go back and amend it based upon available funds. You know, to get done what I think, the
Sure.
direction you're going in.
Because I don't think it was cutting everything either, was it?
It was
everything?
cutting most everything.
Most
Yeah.
everything,
And so that's
yeah.
what we're gonna go over, and we may, when we have our committee meeting tomorrow morning internally, we may make a couple of the things addendums so we could get them or not get them based on price,
Okay.
or alternates, I should say. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is item 17, the approval to pay estimate number 6 to Excavators, Inc., totaling $73,975 for the 2020 EWP project as recommended by Neil Schaefer.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no, and that motion passes. Next is the approval for the fire department to donate the 8 of the surplus radios to the Parks Department, and then donate the rest of them to DeSoto County Search and Rescue, so they'll actually be getting used.
Good.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no, and that motion passes. Next, Compel Church is going to be building a campus in Hernando, and Ben, did you want to recuse yourself on this one before we get into it? I'll make note for the record that Alderman Piper is recusing himself from this discussion and leaving the room due to being a member of the church. So they're going to be building a campus, but they need a place to be short-term, and we've had a short-term church in the Gale Center before. So this would be the approval for them to do it, and I think Jared has negotiated with them and come up with the contract you see in front of you. And basically, it would almost double the Gale Center rental revenue if we do this. So I'm open to discussion on it. Y'all have the agreement, the proposed agreement, I should say, in front of you. Is there someone here from Compel Church? Yes. So we have,
And then see where we are at that point, if we, the possibility of going further if we need to, we'd like to have that open. But so yeah, we just would have a standing agreement that every Sunday we would be there for it.
And I have a couple of comments, and I'm all in favor of this happening. So I just like a little clarity on some things, just for the record.
Yes,
That it will
absolutely.
help us. I'm all supportive of what's gonna go on in that place. Very familiar with the leader there. I'd like some clarity on the time. The time is not stated. It just says Sundays. So we need a clarification on Sunday. The Sunday means 6 a.m. to 12, to 11:59, I'm sorry, because 12 is Monday then.
Yeah, all right.
Give us some clarity on the time.
Yeah.
And also, just clear it just for the record. And also, under the rental fee, it said, and I'm gonna read exactly what it says, the rental fee will be $400 per Sunday. The fee includes the $100 nonprofit discount and waiver the $75 kitchen fee and the deposit, based upon, material and labor donated from compelled church have provided to the city. And this is for our director, is this gonna be the entire facility?
There's three larger,
Right.
Yes, it is the
So-
entire facility.
So the entire
Correct.
facility, and I want this to be part of the record. I'm supporting it, but I really want this to go as part of the record to show what the city is doing to make this happen. The entire facility rents for $900 from 6 to 11:59. So when you take off the $100, that means the rental fee is $800 because of nonprofit. So what the city is doing, they also waiving $400 in rental fee along with $75 kitchen fee. So the waiver fee actually, in actuality, is $475. And I like that to be noted, the note that it's not only $75, it's $475, am I correct?
We are, I think, with the contract saying that we are wanting to pay $400
Right, so
per
we
week.
waiving.
We're waiving
And
the
going-
75.
And going through that, we, actually, the city is waiving $475, other than, just $75. And I like those things to be placed in there, so when record pass, that they'll show how this city was in support of this church and making this happen.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
We'll make that part of the record, Alderman Miller.
And with that, that's my motion.
So there is a motion to approve with those notes. Motion and a
Did you
second.
ever clarify the time, though?
I didn't clarify the time, no. So our services, we plan to be at 10 o'clock, opening up will be at 10 o'clock, and there'll be a setup time. So we're planning on getting there around 7:30 on Sunday morning.
Can I clarify my motion?
Yes.
So that- with my motion, where I made it, Alderman Wilker,
Let 'em have it till
is that
11:59.
from 6 to 11:59?
Okay.
I was clarifying the time also.
So you got it all day if you want to.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
Well, that was
Yeah.
the clarification part.
Okay,
Any other questions at all?
all right. The
Thanks so
motion-
much for your time on this.
The motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no, and that motion passes.
Thank you very much.
All right, we look forward to working with you. Thank you. Next is approval to transfer from the Parks Department to Public Works, the Rhino bush hog with the serial number listed there.
Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And that motion passes. And I skipped one, actually skipped number 20. Let's go back to that one. Approval for the Parks Department to surplus and auction the Rhino finish mower with that serial number. The bush hog is the one that we just transferred to Public Works. We have a motion on item 20 to surplus and auction that finish mower.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is approval for the Parks Department to dispose of a Scotch laminating machine, serial number listed on your agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next, item 23 is the approval for the AWG Infrastructure Improvements Change Order Reference to add 3-foot risers to the sewer manholes in the amount of $9,050, resulting in a total contract amount of $1,333,502.85. This is important because those manholes are going to be out in the middle of a soybean field, and we don't want a tractor running over them and causing water to flow into our sewer system. So getting those up 3 feet makes them very visible so we can maintain them properly.
Is this coming out of contingency of that project, I guess?
Yes, there was some extra money in that project, so it should be covered easily.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is a preliminary list of projects to submit to the Mississippi State Legislature for possible matching funds. I met with Lee and with Joe Lauderdale, and we came up with 6 projects that we thought might be ones you would want to start with. The idea being that Lieutenant Governor Hoseman has asked us to give him a list, all the cities to give him a list of projects that we want them to match if he can get it past the legislature. So these are some that I had on there that are in front of you. We just need to send him a list, and it doesn't have to be these 6. The total of these was a little over $8 million. As y'all know, we'll get $4 million. We'll be asking the legislature to match another 4. We would top that out at $8 million. But and these numbers are coming from Joe Frank, and they're pretty good estimates on what he thinks they would cost. And if y'all have any other projects y'all would like to substitute for these, we'd be happy to open the discussion.
Is this like a definitive list? I mean, can we make changes to it if we need to?
I think we can change them. And
Okay.
here's what I'm going to say. There's a couple of them on here that we're working with an engineering company on. The prior administration submitted a grant for a couple of these, which is kind of in limbo. We hadn't been awarded anything, but we might still go after it. So if we were to get them, then obviously we pull these off that list and take the grant and substitute something else. And I think Lieutenant Governor Hoseman understands that, but he just wants an initial list of things we would try to submit for. And of course, we only got $2 million this year, so we get a $2 million match if they get it done, and then the next year we'd have the next batch going in, but we're submitting the whole thing as one right now.
What about the fire station on Holly Springs? Did I understand correctly that there's no actual sewage hookup to that?
That's true. Joe, will you talk about the septic system issue out at the fire station and what the cost in hooking that to sewer would be?
Yeah, that's what we initially, put in at the fire station because we're close to city sewer. We either have to put in that spray field or put a pump in, but when that property develops there around the fire station, we'll be able to hook in rapidly to the city sewer.
Well, there's like 15 acres right there on the corner across from Toyota? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and on the Montrose Road too. That's where the sewer is,
Okay.
back on that road.
I just didn't want that to be forgotten about because it's like completely surrounded almost by residential homes that have city water and sewer.
And we are keeping a close eye on that, and I actually had a property appraiser call me about that land, so somebody is getting it appraised, so we feel like some development's gonna come there soon. And when they do, we'll make sure Joe Frank's in the middle of it to make sure we can hook to their sewer.
Because we talked to a developer that's wanting to develop that corner.
And I don't know if they were
I'm not
calling on his behalf or not,
Yeah.
but somebody's gonna end up developing that one pretty soon, it seems like, so that should take care of our sewer problem fairly cheaply.
Okay. I just want to kind of keep it in the forefront on the list, or on a
absolutely.
list.
Also, I would like to see a plan developed, and this is, I think I said this earlier in our budget, is that we have pipes that deteriorating in the ground as we speak. Our guys out there every day because of water, especially water line. They are deteriorating, especially in the old part of the city. And this type of money can be used for that, but we need to go on and get together a plan. We might not can fund it now, we might not can go forward now, but we need a plan in hand to identify some of these trouble spots that we have, and we're talking about this a quality of life issue all the way. And I'm sure that our public works director can attest to that. The number of hours that because once they fix one of the pipe, 12 feet from that, in 2 weeks, they're back over there again. And so they're not only having problem with that, so we can't even prepare the roads over there because we continue to dig them and cut them up. So I would like to see the city, our engineer, to start taking due note, him and our public works director start identifying this And let's start putting together a 5 to 10-year plan, because it's not gonna go away, it's only gonna get worse. And this is, we don't want to be like the drinking water in Jackson, when we know we got a problem and wanna address it. And anybody here know that we got a problem,
We do, for sure.
and so we need to address it, because it's not gonna get any better.
Joe, is that something you can start working on, putting together with the help of the Public Works Director? Kind of a long-term plan?
Yes, you know, when we made out this list, this is not all that was on the list.
Yeah,
There was a lot more on the list.
Oh, I understand, I
And
understand that.
Some of it had to do with lines, valves, fire hydrants, connections,
Right. That's what I'm saying.
dead-end lines.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Let's develop that list so we can, board can see that and know that we got a plan out there.
Okay,
so everybody I've talked to, I've told them we're gonna end up with $8 million, but we could spend 20 or $25 million on water and sewer problems and not waste a penny of it. So there's a lot more to be done than what's on this list.
But this is all one-time money, so like Mr. Miller said, we need to get a plan together to,
Yeah.
because I think what he's referencing, I think in there parts of the cities have clay pipes still in the ground and things like that.
There are clay sewer pipes all over the old parts of Hernando.
It's-
They deteriorating, right, Public Works? They deteriorating now.
You gotta invest in your infrastructure, or it's going
That's what I'm
to
saying, we
the
got
city
to
of
do it.
Jackson and things like
So
that.
it's sort of like our road plan, like
Exactly.
rate them and put them in order of worst to,
Right, necessity first, yeah.
We can work on that for sure.
Yeah, that's all, just get together,
Okay.
man. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? So for a starter, are y'all just okay with approving this list for me to take to the Lieutenant Governor?
I'm gonna
and
make a motion
Speaker?
that we, send this proposed, preliminary list to the Mississippi State Legislature for proper matching funds.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is, at the last meeting, we had discussed walking improvements at the Dilworth Tunnel under the interstate. I think Lee has got some numbers together. And in the meantime, his crews went down there and really did a big cleanup on the tunnel. It looked really good. The guys worked very hard on it, and that in itself is an improvement. Now, if we can figure out how to get the kids out of the water, we'll have that part of it solved.
Evening. I've got 4 quotes here. Got 2 for electrical from different contractors, and I've also got 2 for a sidewalk that Mr. Joe Frank engineered for us. It's basically going to be a 5-foot sidewalk on the south side. It's going to be 5 foot wide and 4 inches thick. It's going to have fiber to reinforce it, just in case emergency vehicles or something like that need to go through there at some time. I guess I'll start out with the electrical. Both quotes are the same. Both companies quoted to install a 150 amp sub-panel and meter on the Dilworth side, tie onto an energy pole there. And then they would come in, they would trench over, and they would put 4 wall packs, just lights hanging on the side of the wall. They would illuminate the floor all the way across. Would use rigid conduit, and they would also use a, I'm trying to look for the word here, like an anti-tamper cover on it, where people couldn't vandalize it.
Like those
Be a wire
cages,
cover.
those cage-like looking
Yeah,
things.
you could pretty much, I mean, you can tear anything up, but, you know, you could probably hit this with a baseball bat and it would hold up. So, the first quote was from Whitfield Electric. Their quote was for $7,335 for the electrical, and then I got a second quote from, Jason Lowry, which is Takawa Electric, and his quote was for $5,800. It's a pretty significant difference there, but I would think the material cost would be minimal difference. So it's just the difference in price there. I've also got some cut sheets of the lights if you guys want to pass them around either way. It's just a general cut sheet, and then like I said before, I've got 2 quotes for the concrete also. The first one is from Allen Home Services. And they quoted it at $5.25 per square foot and a total of $6,300. It's a 1,200 square foot Sidewalk, Mr. Joe Frank spec'd that at 4,000 PSI. And I think both contractors have agreed to place fiber in the concrete that will make it more rigid. And then the second quote I have is from Cole Holden at Holden Integrated Services. And their quote was for $7,200. So it's
How much was the first quote?
$6,300, so it's about $1,000 difference on those. I can't speak on their schedule if we decide to move forward with this. I know Whitfield was extremely busy. Jason Lowry, all contractors do work for the city, so I think they would bump us up if we could, wanted to move forward with it.
I think that our priority, and this Miller speaking now. I don't speak for nobody else, but our priority should be the sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
Because as it relates to how much funding we're gonna put in there, I think the money we'll spend will be to get it off to get them out the water first.
Yes, sir.
Because they already walking through there, and then the lights could come. If the mayor can find enough money, we're talking about $15,000. Go to $15,000. We could do both projects. But if it come down to money, Mayor, I would, hopefully that this board will go with the concrete first and then come in with the lights. So we're talking about $15,000.
Lee, you think, I'm sorry.
I just in that, because this money, since it's dealing with sidewalks and things like that, could that come out of Public Works budget?
It would come out of the streets budget, probably.
So is that- it
Yeah,
could
the
come
streets
out of
part of
the-
Public Works, yes.
I'm saying, so a $15,000 investment is not a bad investment if we do both of them. That's my opinion, and
Yes.
I'm just rounding up until it's
Well,
down.
I've spoken to a representative at Hernando Middle and Hernando High, and they both in agreements, but that the sidewalk is the most important, but also the lighting is very high concern.
Sure.
It's,
So-
yeah, especially this time of the year.
At night, you can't.
Yeah, I was over there at like
you can-
4:30 on a gray day, and it was, kids were constantly coming in and out. I was just looking at it. I would not want my children going in
From
and
East
out of it.
Parkway, you can't even see it from there. And
No.
I was surprised at the traffic that was walking through there as we were working and cleaning it up.
That's my
Yeah,
point.
Right.
it
It's
is
been going
used
for
a
years,
lot.
and ain't,
Sure.
and this is not the first time this problem has been.
Yeah.
So I think Lee and I can get together with the city clerk, and these are items that don't require prior board approval, and so if everybody's kind of in agreement, we've got 2 quotes on each. We can take the low quote, attach it to a purchase order, find the money in the budget, knowing that y'all put the priority on the walking ahead of the lights, but hopefully we can find enough to do both, and we can start on it as quickly as possible.
I do have one, I know it drains, the drainage is pretty bad. This will fix all that, it won't be standing water there anymore.
So, I'm gonna work with the city engineer on that. It's
No
got
more
one
standing
drain
water
on
in there
the,
with this?
on one end.
Yeah, you'll still have drainage through there.
Yeah, I mean, will
But the
standing
drainage
water be
seems to
gone?
be over on the north side. We're gonna put the walk on the south side.
I think what he'll do is basically that'll elevate out of the water, and the water will then run between the other side and the sidewalk.
So
But-
will the walk be in the middle, or will it be all the way against one side?
South side.
All the way
Yes,
to
sir.
all the way to the
So
south
That way
side.
you could, if you had to ride a vehicle through it,
It would be uneven, but you could get it
you
through
can
there.
get through it.
You can still drive through.
Well, do vehicles still go through there?
No.
They're not
No,
supposed
No,
to.
we have bollards up, and they do not, the public does not go through there, but it's set up so that emergency vehicles could if they needed to.
Well, I was told that yellow post that blocks each end, the one on the school side today was not there.
When we were cleaning everything
cleaning
up,
up.
So y'all moved it.
yes and no. We cleaned everything up, and the bracket that was on the ground, I guess it's been in the water so long, it was
Oh,
rusted.
okay.
We were getting it off and equipment and here and there, and it just broke in half, so.
Okay, so it's going to be a permanent thing,
Semi-permanent, yes, ma'am.
closing it off, okay.
I
'Cause that's
think
what I
what Mayor
was,
Johnson said, at first they made them out of PVC pipe, so in case an emergency vehicle had to come through there, they could just run over
Yeah.
it. And it would shear
Okay.
off at the
And that's
ground.
part of our agreement with MDOT was that private vehicular traffic would not go under there.
okay. I just kind of wanted to know where we were on that and how it would alter anybody getting through there.
Absolutely, and we talked about that before too. That'll be a separate deal if we decide to go with the sidewalk, that same contractor would put something like that back up.
Okay.
So are the concrete contractors available in the next 2 weeks, or,
Yes, ma'am.
okay,
They're currently doing work for us now.
okay, because the light can be done as people are using
right.
it.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
We'll get to work on
Do
it.
we need to make a motion, or?
But you're gonna try to find the money in the budget to do both, right?
Yes, that's what we're gonna shoot for.
I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
That's what I would recommend for sure.
If y'all wanna make a motion, that'd be great. Just to get it on the record.
Second.
It's a motion to proceed and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all too,
Next is to approve the utility adjustment docket.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is a motion to go into closed session to discuss executive session for prospective easement purchase.
Second, so moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. This meeting is now in closed session.